Okay, real talk. Most people treat retirement like it's a light switch. You're either on, grinding away at your 9 to 5 for the next 30 years, or off, handing in your badge, waving goodbye to your coworkers, and sailing off into the golden sunset with a grocery store sheet cake that says, "Happy Retirement, Dave," in bright blue frosting. And look, the sheet cake is great. I'm not knocking the sheet cake. But here's the problem. That all-or-nothing approach to leaving work, it's actually one of the most financially risky things you can do, and millions of people are walking straight into it without a second thought. What if I told you there's a smarter, calmer, way more financially efficient way to exit your working life, one that lets you test drive retirement before you're fully committed, reduce your tax bill, keep your health care, and potentially add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your retirement account? It's called phased retirement, or as I like to call it, retiring slowly. Today, we're breaking it all down, how it works, why it works, and exactly how you can use it to make the smoothest exit from employment in the history of your career. Let's get into it. So, what is the problem with the cold turkey approach, you ask? All right, let's paint a picture. You've been working for 35 years. You've saved diligently. You've got your 401k, maybe a pension if you're lucky enough to still have one of those, and you've been dreaming about retirement since your third Monday morning meeting in a row. So the day finally comes. You retire. Fully. Completely. Cold turkey. And at first, it's amazing. You sleep in. You take walks. You finally watch every season of that show everyone's been talking about for 5 years. But then, around month 3, something starts to feel off. Studies consistently show that a huge percentage of newly retired Americans experience what researchers call retirement shock, anxiety, depression, a loss of identity and purpose. The social connections you had at work? Gone. The mental stimulation? Gone. The feeling that your time has structure and meaning? Poof. And here's the thing nobody talks about. Going from a full-time salary to zero income overnight is a massive psychological shock, even if you technically have enough money. Your brain doesn't care about your spreadsheet. It just sees the number going down instead of up, and it panics. Even people who've done everything right financially find themselves lying awake running math they've already done 100 times, convinced they're running out of money. And let's not even get started on healthcare. If you retire before 65, you're on your own for health insurance until Medicare kicks in. Marketplace plans can run $500 to $1,000 per month per person. Retire at 62 feeling great, and you might get hit with a $14,000 annual healthcare bill you didn't fully account for. That's real money that could have been compounding in your retirement accounts. This is exactly why retiring slowly, on a phased schedule, intentionally and strategically, is one of the smartest financial moves a pre-retiree can make. So, what does phased retirement actually look like in practice? At its core, it means gradually reducing your work hours and income over time, instead of going from full-time to nothing overnight. Think of it like easing into a cold pool instead of cannonballing and immediately regretting every life decision. Same destination, completely different experience. There are 4 main ways this plays out. Option 1 is the reduced hours deal. You go to your current employer and negotiate a part-time arrangement. Maybe you go from 5 days a week to 3, or from 40 hours to 20. You keep your role, your relationships, and potentially some benefits, but you free up massive amounts of time while still bringing in income. A lot of people are surprised to find that employers are actually open to this. Why? Because losing an experienced employee is expensive. Training replacements costs money. Institutional knowledge walks out the door. So after 20 or 30 years, you have more negotiating power than you think, and those are the very arguments you can bring to the negotiating table. Option 2 is the consulting bridge. You leave your full-time job but stay connected to your industry or even your old employer as an independent consultant. You control your hours, your clients, and your workload. And because you're now self-employed, you unlock a whole new world of tax advantages we'll get into in a minute. Option 3 is the passion job. This is my personal favorite. You leave your career, but pick up part-time work doing something you actually enjoy, working at a bookstore, teaching at a community college, doing seasonal work at a national park. The income isn't your old salary, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to bridge the gap while your investments keep growing. Option 4 is the formal federal program. If you're a federal government employee, there's an official phased retirement program administered by the Office of Personnel Management. Eligible federal workers can move to half-time work while simultaneously collecting half of their annuity. If you're in the federal system and haven't heard of this, look it up this week. All 4 options share something powerful. You keep income flowing, which means your retirement savings don't have to do all the heavy lifting right away, and that extra time in the market worth more than most people realize. Okay, here's where it gets really good, because I know some of you are thinking, Maddie, I've been working my whole life. I don't want to keep working part-time. I want out. I want the sheet cake. I have earned the sheet cake. And I hear you. Let's stay with me for 2 minutes because these numbers are going to make you think twice. Let's say you're 62 years old and thinking about retiring. You've got $800,000 saved. Your plan is to withdraw $40,000 a year to cover living expenses. Scenario A, you retire fully at 62. You start drawing down your $800,000 immediately. Every dollar you pull out is a dollar no longer compounding. And in the early years of retirement, sequence of returns risk is at its highest. A market drop in year 1 or 2 while you're simultaneously withdrawing money does significantly more long-term damage than most people expect. Scenario B, you do a phased retirement from 62 to 65. You work part-time, bringing in $20,000 a year. That covers half your expenses. You only pull $20,000 from your accounts instead of $40,000. Here's the magic. That $800,000 keeps growing. Those extra 3 years of reduced withdrawals, combined with possible continued contributions, can add anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 to your ending balance. We are talking about $100,000 to $200,000 extra dollars in your retirement account just from working part-time for 3 more years. That's travel money. That's legacy money. That's the difference between a comfortable retirement and a genuinely thriving one. And here's a bonus. If you can delay claiming Social Security until 67 or even 70, your monthly benefit increases significantly. As you already know, for every year you delay past your full retirement age, your benefit grows by about 8%. Wait from 62 all the way to 70, and your monthly check could be 76% larger than if you'd claimed early. That is life-changing money that compounds across decades. Now, I'm not saying everyone should wait until 70. Your health, life expectancy, and specific situation all matter, but here's the core point. If you're earning part-time income during those bridge years, you give yourself options. You're not forced to claim Social Security early just to cover your bills, and in retirement planning, options are everything. All right, now I want to talk about something most people completely skip over, and honestly, it drives me a little crazy, because this might be the single most powerful financial benefit of phased retirement. Taxes, specifically what I call the low-income years tax opportunity. Here's the deal. When you're working full-time making $80,000 or $100,000 a year, you're in a relatively high tax bracket. There's not much room for sophisticated tax planning. Your income is what it is. But during your phased retirement years, if you're working part-time and earning $20,000 or $25,000 a year, your taxable income drops significantly, and that opens up a massive window of opportunity most people completely miss. The major move is Roth conversions. A Roth conversion is when you move money from your traditional IRA or 401k, where it grows tax-deferred, into a Roth IRA, where it grows completely tax-free forever. You pay taxes on the converted amount in the year you do it, but if your income is lower because you're semi-retired, you may be able to pay those taxes at a lower rate than during your peak earning years. Once that money is in a Roth IRA, it can grow tax-free. Qualified withdrawals in retirement are tax-free, and Roth IRAs aren't subject to required minimum distributions during the owner's lifetime. In some cases, strategic Roth conversions during lower income years can reduce lifetime tax bills by tens of thousands of dollars. That's money that may stay in your pocket instead of going to the IRS. Let's talk about healthcare, because this is the thing that scares most pre-retirees more than almost anything else, and that fear is completely justified. If you're under 65 without employer coverage, you have to figure it out yourself. Here's how phased retirement changes that picture. If you're working part-time for an employer who offers benefits, there's a real chance you can negotiate to keep at least partial health insurance coverage. Some employers extend benefits to part-time employees above a certain hours threshold, often around 30 hours a week. Make this part of your reduced hours negotiation.
If you're consulting and self-employed, your health insurance premiums are generally tax-deductible as a self-employed health insurance deduction. That meaningfully reduces the real out-of-pocket cost of your coverage. And if your income is low enough during your phased years, you might qualify for significant ACA marketplace subsidies. Those subsidies are tied to income, not assets. So even with a healthy retirement account, a lower earned income during your transition years could make you eligible for subsidies that dramatically cut your monthly premium. The bottom line? Keeping some earned income during early retirement gives you healthcare flexibility that simply doesn't exist if you stop working entirely, and that can save you thousands of dollars a year until Medicare kicks in at 65. Okay, but how do you actually make this happen? Here's your practical roadmap. Step 1. You need to know exactly what it costs you to live. Not what you earn, what you actually spend. Sit down with your last 12 months of bank and credit card statements and add it all up. That's your real baseline. Think about how that number changes in retirement. Maybe lower without commute costs, maybe higher if you plan to travel. Once you know your monthly expense number, everything else flows from that. Step 2. Run your Social Security scenarios. Head to ssa.gov and create an account. Look at your estimated benefit at 62, 67, and 70. Run all 3 scenarios. Figure out how those numbers interact with your phased retirement income. This one exercise, which takes about 30 minutes, could be worth thousands of dollars in better decisions over your lifetime. Step 3. Have the conversation at work. Don't just walk in and say you want to work less. Come in with a real proposal. What reduced hours looks like, what responsibilities you'd keep, what you'd hand off, and what the timeline is. The easier you make it for your employer to say yes, the more likely they will. Step 4. Build your tax plan with a qualified advisor. Map out your projected income in each phased retirement year. Identify the windows for Roth conversions. Flag the years for capital gains harvesting at 0%. Think about how Social Security claiming interacts with your other income. Taxes in retirement are one of the biggest variables most people don't plan for aggressively enough, and the phased retirement years are your prime opportunity to act. Step 5. Build your identity outside of work and start now, not after you retire. One of the biggest challenges in retirement is figuring out who you are when work stops defining you. Your career gave you structure, purpose, and social connection. When that disappears overnight, the void can be destabilizing. Phased retirement helps because it gives you time to build a new identity while you still have the anchor of some work. Volunteer. Travel. Start the hobby you've been postponing for 20 years. Create routines that give your days meaning. Because money is just a tool, and the whole point of building wealth is to construct a life you actually love. Now, I'm not going to sell you on phased retirement and pretend there are 0 complications. That's not how we do things here. Part-time arrangements don't always include benefits. Many employers don't extend health insurance or retirement contributions to part-time workers. Before you agree to anything, know exactly what you're giving up and get the terms in writing. Some careers don't accommodate part-time. Depending on your field, your employers simply might not be able to make it work. In that case, you're looking at consulting, a pivot to a new part-time job, or negotiating an exit package that gives you more financial runway. Social Security has an earnings test before full retirement age. If you claim benefits before reaching full retirement age and earn above certain annual limits, your benefits can be temporarily reduced. This doesn't permanently cut your benefit. The Social Security Administration recalculates upward at full retirement age to account for the withheld months, but it affects near-term cash flow. A good advisor can help you sequence this correctly. And phased retirement requires discipline. If you're earning part-time income but spending all of it instead of letting your retirement accounts compound, you've surrendered most of the financial benefit. The entire power of this strategy depends on letting your investments grow while your earned income covers expenses. None of these are deal breakers. They're factors to plan around carefully. Go in with eyes open and a solid plan, and this strategy delivers. Go in blind, and you might end up watching a video called How to Unretire. Trust me, that one's way less fun.
Retiring slowly isn't about delaying retirement or grinding longer than you have to. It's about engineering your exit so intelligently that when you fully stop working, your money is bigger, your tax burden is lower, your healthcare is handled, your social security benefit is optimized, and your sense of identity and purpose is already locked in before you walk out the door for the last time. It's not the dramatic sheet cake moment Hollywood sold you. It's actually better. The people who do this right don't just have a retirement, they have a third act. And that third act, planned properly, can be the most financially secure and personally fulfilling chapter of your life. Drop a comment below and let me know, are you planning to retire all at once or are you thinking about phasing it out? I'd love to hear where you're at in your journey. If you found something, give it a like. I'll see you in the next one.